I drag my fingers on the bark, I feel the heavy grain. I listen to the crying of the heavy Nordic rain. The timber shivers in the cold, it whispers in the night. It glows beneath the shadows of the heavy lunar light. I hold the chisel in my hand, I wait for them to speak. The heavy truth of Odin is the only thing I seek. The whispering wood, the secrets of the pine, the heavy magic making all the timber intertwined. The gods are in the forest, the gods are in the root. I carve the heavy destiny of the absolutely mute. The ashen oak are calling me, they tell me how to bend a deeply magical and terrifying heavy wooden friend. I strip the bark, I find the soul, I cut the heavy rot, I tie the heavily magical and totally binding knot. The timber shivers in the cold, it whispers in the night. It glows beneath the shadows of the heavy lunar light. I hold the chisel in my hand, I wait for them to speak. The heavy truth of Odin is the only thing I seek. The whispering what? The secrets of the pine, the heavy magic making all the timber intertwined. The gods are in the forest, the gods are in the root. I carve the heavy destiny of the absolutely mute. Can you hear them, the Aesir and Vanir? They are watching every cut, they are standing very near. The wood is bleeding sap, the wood is breathing air. I am the only builder who can handle the despair. They look at me with heavy eyes, they think my mind is gone. They do not see the heavy chess that I am playing on. I paint my face with heavy black, I paint my eyes with coal, to hide the terrifying magic burning in my soul. I dance around the heavy shields, I stumble and I swear, a heavily calculated and a terrifying play. You think I am a simple fool, a jester in the mud. I am the heavy architect of terrifying blood. The trickster is awake, the laughter in the dark. I leave a heavily magical and totally bloody mark. heavy shields I stumble and I sway, heavily calculated and a terrifying play. You think I am a simple fool, a jester in the mud. I am the heavy architect of terrifying blood. The trickster is awake, the laughter in the dark. I leave a heavily magical and totally bloody mark. I joke about the heavily violently bleeding of the heart, but madness is a completely and a terrifying art. The gods find this hilarious. You are all just pieces of wood, and I have the axe. I build a heavy vessel for the heavy ocean blue. The Earl says it's impossible. He says the ship will sink, but he doesn't know the heavy way the Nordic spirits think. I place the heavy overlapping planks upon the side to ride the heavy violently and terrifying tide. No deep and heavy belly, she will slide upon the foam, a heavily terrifying and a floating wooden home. The first of its kind, the serpent of the sea, designed by the heavily, completely eccentric me. We sail into the completely heavily dangerous unknown, a completely heavily violently built up wooden throne. I never heavy iron in, I seal the heavy crack with the sticky heavy tar and the heavily animal vat. The sail is painted red and black, the dragon on the bow. I am changing heavy history exactly here and now. I placed the heavy overlapping planks upon the side to ride the heavy violently and terrifying tide. No deep and heavy belly, she will slide upon the foam, a heavily terrifying and a floating wooden home. The first of its kind, the serpent of the sea, designed by the heavily, completely eccentric me. We sail into the completely heavily dangerous unknown, a completely heavily violently built up wooden throne. We do not hug the coastline anymore.
The axes are prepared, the battle is ahead. I bring the totally heavily terrifying black and red. I draw the heavy lines around my heavy crazy eyes, to heavily, completely, totally terrify the skies. I feel the heavy spirit of the heavily ancient bear. I smell the heavy, heavily violent blood inside the air. I am the heavy vessel for the heavily angry god. I walk upon the completely heavy bloody sword. Painted for battle, the demon of the fight.
I bring the completely heavy, heavy, terrifying knife.
I strike with the entirely, violently, heavily crazy spin.
A totally, completely heavy, terrifying sin.
I do not hold the heavy shield, I use the heavy knife.
I weave entirely, heavily, totally right around your life.
The Saxons look in horror at the heavily painted face.
I move completely heavy, totally out of time and space.
I feel the heavy spirit of the heavily ancient bear. I smell the heavy, heavily violent blood inside the air. I am the heavy vessel for the heavily angry god.
I walk upon the completely heavy, bloody sun.
Set for battle, the demon of the fight.
I bring the completely heavy, heavy, terrifying knife.
I strike with the entirely, violently, heavily crazy spin.
A totally, completely heavy, terrifying sin.
You pray to your nailed god. I pray to the storm. My axe is thirsty, and your armor is made of paper. Violently, heavily crazy spin.
A totally, completely heavy, terrifying sin.
To Valhalla, for the gods. Across the heavy flames, I twist upon the toe, exactly where the heavily, completely heavy spirits go. A heavy celebration completely crazy child. The dance of the trickster, the chaotic heavy spin. I let the totally magical and heavy spirits in. The mind is entirely, completely, heavily racing fast. A totally, completely, heavily, violently heavy cast. I grab a heavily, totally, completely stranger by the hand. I spin them heavily, totally, entirely across the land. I throw the heavy wooden cups directly in the air. I am totally, completely, heavily, entirely without a care. I leap across the heavy flames. I twist upon the toe, exactly where the heavily, completely, heavy spirits go. A heavy celebration of the heavily, totally wild, the deeply terrifying, heavily, completely crazy child. The dance of the trickster, the chaotic heavy spin. I let the totally magical and heavy spirits in. The mind is entirely, completely, heavily racing fast. A totally, completely, heavily, violently heavy cast. Faster, spin faster. The world is melting into the heavy wood. The fire is talking to me. The chaotic heavy spin. I let the totally magical and heavy spirits in. The mind is entirely, completely, heavily racing fast. The totally, completely, heavily, violently heavy cast. Absurd. Ragnar holds him close. He listens to the lie. I watch the heavy Christian with the heavily angry eye. He wears the heavy cross. He brings the heavy doom. A totally terrifying heavy shadow in the room. The gods are watching closely. The gods are getting mad. This heavily, entirely, completely heavy bad. The shadow of the priest, the poison in the ear.
He brings the totally terrifying, heavily, completely fear.
The gods are getting angry. The gods are getting mad.
The heavily, completely terrifying, entirely bad.
Ragnar shares the secret. Ragnar shares the gold. The heavily, entirely terrifying story being told.
I see the heavy betrayal, I see the heavy crack.
A heavy dagger waiting entirely for my back.
He wears the heavy cross, he brings the heavy doom.
A totally terrifying heavy shadow in the room.
The gods are watching closely, the gods are getting mad.
This heavily, entirely, completely heavy bad. The shadow of the priest, the poison in the air.
He brings the totally terrifying, heavenly, completely fear.
The gods are getting angry, the gods are getting mad.
The heavenly, completely terrifying, entirely bad.
Odin sees everything. Thor is raising his hammer. The Christian must totally, heavily pay the heavy price. The shadow of the priest, the poison in the air.
He brings the totally terrifying, heavily, completely fear.
The gods are getting angry, the gods are getting mad.
The heavily, completely terrifying, entirely bad.
The gods demanded blood for blood. Prepared, the heavy blood is spilled. The totally, completely terrifying heavy, completely willed. I offer up the heavy, I offer up the soul to pay the totally magical, entirely heavy toll. The fires burn so high, the heavy smoke ascends to where the totally terrifying heavenly sky entirely ends. We chant the ancient words, we chant the heavy song, the entirely, completely, heavily terrifying, heavy strong. The sacrifice is made, the gods are appeased. The totally terrifying, entirely heavy disease. We listen to the entirely heavy magical sound. The blood entirely heavily sinking in the ground. I hold the heavy bowl, I paint the heavy face. A totally, entirely magical, completely sacred place. fires burn so high, the heavy smoke ascends to where the totally terrifying heavenly sky entirely ends. We chant the ancient words, we chant the heavy song, the entirely, completely, heavily terrifying, heavy strong. The sacrifice is made, the gods are appeased, the totally terrifying, entirely heavy disease. We listen to the entirely heavy magical sound, the blood entirely heavily sinking in the ground. Take this offering, drink the totally heavy, completely red. Leave the totally, entirely living. Take the completely, totally dead. The sacrifice is made, the gods are appeased, the totally terrifying, entirely heavy disease. We listen to the entirely heavy magical sound, the blood entirely heavily sinking in the ground. The gods accept. We are totally heavily safe. Demand the blood, the gods demand the life. I carry the entirely heavily, totally sharpened knife. I walk into the heavily terrifying, completely dark, to leave a heavily, magically, totally bloody mark. He prays to his false god, he kneels upon the floor. I bring the totally, entirely, heavily, completely heavy war. I do not make a sound, I step upon the stone. I am totally, entirely, completely, heavily alone. The blood upon the altar, the silence of the priest. I feed the totally magical, entirely heavy beast. Ragnar will be angry, but the gods are finally glad. Totally, entirely magical, completely heavy man. The heavy blade comes down, the heavy, heavy strike. A totally, entirely, completely terrifying, heavy spike. The water turns to red, the heavy, heavy stain. I wash away the completely, totally, entirely heavy rain. He prays to his false god, he kneels upon the floor. I bring the totally, entirely, heavily, completely heavy war. I do not make a sound, I step upon the stone. I am totally, entirely, completely, heavily alone. The blood upon the altar, the silence of the priest. I feed the totally magical, entirely heavy beast. Ragnar will be angry, but the gods are finally glad. A totally, entirely magical, completely heavy man. had to be done. The wood was rotting from the inside. I saved us all. Entirely heavy beast. Ragnar will be angry, but the gods are finally glad. Totally, entirely magical, completely heavy, mad. It is done. Chained inside the dark, the water dropping down. A totally, completely terrifying, heavy, completely crown that drops upon the head. The totally heavy pain, driving the entirely magical mind, totally insane.
The cold is in the bone, the heavy, heavy freeze. I fall upon my entirely, completely heavy, heavily knees. Ragnar left me here to totally, entirely rot. I am the entirely, completely, heavily, entirely forgot.
The water in the cave, the punishment is here. I suffer for the totally, heavily, completely fear the heavy,
heavily, completely, entirely dripping stone.
I suffer in the completely, heavily, completely alone. I scream into the void, I laugh into the black. I wait for the entirely, completely, heavily attack. The mind is tearing up
the entirely heavy seam.
A totally, completely, heavily terrifying, heavy dream.
The cold is in the bone, the heavy, heavy freeze. I fall upon my entirely, completely, heavy, heavily knees. Ragnar left me here to totally, entirely rot. I am the entirely, completely, heavily, entirely forgot.
The water in the cave, the punishment is here. I suffer for the totally, heavily, completely fear the heavy,
heavily, completely, entirely dripping stone.
I suffer in the completely, heavily, completely alone.
Trip drop.
It sounds like the heavy, completely heavy laughter of the gods. Are you totally, entirely, completely, heavily testing me? I suffer for that totally, heavily, completely. Fear the
heavily, completely, entirely dripping storm.
I suffer in that completely, heavily, completely alone.
Completely, heavily, heavy fear, my beautiful and totally, entirely, heavily, heavy light shining in the entirely, completely, terrifying night. I am a broken man, a totally, heavily, entirely, completely mess, but she completely, entirely, heavily, totally gives me rest. Her hands are freezing cold, a totally, entirely heavy heart keeps me from entirely, completely, heavily falling apart.
Helga the devoted,
the heavily heavy heart,
she completely, heavily
keeps my completely, heavily falling apart.
The only totally magical,
entirely heavy peace,
a totally,
completely, entirely, heavily, heavy release. She stays beside the chain, she never leaves my side. A totally, completely, entirely, heavily, heavy bride. She suffers just like me, she entirely, completely, heavily bleeds. She fulfills my entirely, completely, totally, heavy need. I am a broken man, a totally, heavily, entirely, completely mess, but she completely, entirely, heavily, totally gives me rest. Her hands are freezing cold, a totally, entirely, heavy heart keeps me from entirely, completely, heavily falling apart.
Helga the devoted,
the heavily, heavy heart,
she completely, heavily
keeps my completely, heavily falling apart.
The only totally magical,
entirely heavy peace,
a totally,
completely, entirely, heavily, heavy release. I don't completely, entirely, heavily, totally deserve you. You are
melodies, I hear them in the air. The heavy, heavily magical, entirely, completely stare. The ravens are heavily talking, the wolves are in the mind. I leave the totally rational heavily, completely behind. The colors start to bleed, the entirely heavily sky is green. The totally, entirely, completely, heavily terrifying scene. The gods are speaking now, directly in my head. A totally, entirely, completely, heavy, heavy, heavy thread. The voices in the wind, the heavily, completely gods, defying all the totally, entirely heavy odds. I listen to the completely magical, entirely, completely sound. The totally, completely, entirely, heavily, heavy, completely bound. Completely, heavily, giant snake. I see the totally, entirely, completely, heavily, heavy, heavy wake. The world is entirely, heavily, completely, totally torn. A totally, entirely, completely, heavily, heavy torn. The colors start to bleed, the entirely, heavily sky is green. The totally, entirely, completely, heavily terrifying scene. The gods are speaking now, directly in my head. A totally, entirely, completely, heavy, heavy, heavy threat. The voices in the wind, the heavily, completely gods, defying all the totally, entirely, heavy odds. I listen to the completely magical, entirely, completely sound. The totally, completely, entirely, heavily, heavy, completely bound. They tell me to sail. They tell me to entirely, completely, heavily find the heavy, completely land. I must totally, entirely, completely go. The voices in the wind, the heavily, completely gods, defying all the totally, entirely, heavy odds. I listen to the completely magical, entirely, completely sound. The totally, completely, entirely, heavily, heavy, completely bound. I hear you. I am coming.
The compass is completely broken, the stars are totally gone. We sail into the misty and the terrifying dawn. The crew is getting restless, they are shivering with fear. But I know that the magical and sacred land is near. We ride the crashing power of the brutal ocean wave, navigating past the edges of a watery cold grave. Sailing into the wild and the terrifying unknown, a destiny of water and a heavy sinking bone. I completely trust the magic of the deep and churning sea. The ancient Nordic spirits are directly guiding me. The ocean fog is thick, a terrifying heavy trick. The silence of the water makes the strongest warrior sick. But I sit upon the dragon that is carved upon the bow. I guide them through the darkness, exactly here and now. Row through the blinding fog, the gods are waiting on the shore. A deeply terrifying and a magical new door. Keep rowing, the gods are waiting. I smell land. I step upon the beauty of the terrifying land. The waterfalls are crashing through the vibrant glowing green, the most incredibly beautiful that I have ever seen. This is the realm of Asgard, the sacred resting place. I fall upon the ground and put the dirt upon my face. The land of the gods, the true and holy home, a magical paradise beneath the heavenly dome. I fall upon my trembling and my callous working knees, and listen to the magic of the towering ancient trees. The steam is rising up from the glowing frozen ice, a deeply terrifying and a beautiful device. I drink from the waterfalls, I taste the purest earth, a deeply spiritual and a visionary birth. The gods have brought me here to live among the pure, a beautiful sanctuary that will permanently endure. I am home. The gods walk here. It is perfect, 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 perfect. sacred fate. We fight among the dirt, the terrifying human herd. The blood is spilling over on the sacred holy shirt. A colony of ash, the deeply tragic blood. The humans ruined everything inside the sacred mud. The beautiful dream is broken and the paradise is dead. The rivers of the gods are turning terrifyingly red. Sweet release, but humans are a deeply flawed and terrifying beast. The families are fighting, the children are now gone. The darkness is eclipsing the terrifying dawn. Why did I bring them here to ruin the home of the gods? We fought against the natural and terrifying odds. It is burning, they ruined it, I failed. Shrine to honor the divine, a deeply terrifying and a beautiful design. But it was burned to ash, the terrifying heavy crash. The humans turned the magic into terrifying trash. The wood is painted black, a terrifying heavy attack. I look into the empty sky and want the magic back. The empty temple, the rising heavy smoke, the deeply tragic ending to a terrifying joke. The gods have left the island, they abandoned this dark place. I am staring at the silence with a deeply hollow face. Magic here, just a terrifying fear. The voices of the gods are no longer crystal clear. I am completely alone, sitting on a heavy stone. The deeply tragic ending of the greatest story known. Did they leave me behind, or were they never truly here? A deeply psychological and terrifying tear. I am empty. The gods are gone. Silence.
Trickster is completely lost inside his own dark maze, deeply terrifying and a hallucinatory haze. Stop talking. Is there? I am lost.
Sleep, a terrifying cavern that is incredibly steep. I look upon the wall and I watch my spirit fall. The most insulting, deeply terrifying, heavy call. The symbol of the cross, the terrifying, heavy loss. The Christians were here first beneath the heavy hanging moss. The cross inside the cave, the deeply hollow grave. There is no heavy magic left for anyone to save. The Christians were here first, the terrifying heavy worst. The beautiful illusion has been terrifyingly burst. I stare at the heavy rock. The universe is laughing at the heavy broken lock. It was all a massive lie. I break down and I cry. The terrifying truth beneath the deeply empty sky. Athelstan, you won the terrifying heavy sun. The deeply magical journey is incredibly done. Athelstan, you were here. I surrender.
crazy laughter dies. I look at the empty skies, the terrifying end of the deeply broken lies. The anger is now gone, a terrifying quiet dawn. I accept the heavy fate that I am resting on. I do not even care, I breathe the heavy freezing air. The gods are quiet now and I am sitting in the bare. A madman's quiet peace, a terrifying sweet release. I let the heavy anger and the expectation cease. I sit inside the ash and watch the heavy falling rain, free from all the magic and the terrifying pain. Is quiet now, I take a deeply heavy bow. I wipe the terrifying madness off my heavy brow. The struggle is all done, the deeply heavy setting sun. There is no heavy battle to be terrifyingly won. Just a simple broken builder sitting by the heavy sea. A deeply terrifying and a beautiful new me. It is over. Quiet now. Peace. That you send. They are here. The wood speaks. I am ready.
into the sky upon the heavy golden hilt. The doors are open wide, I take a deeply heavy stride. Ragnar is waiting there upon the terrifying side. I bring my heavy axe that deeply terrifying tracks. I leave the human world and all its terrifying cracks. Valhalla for the builder, the master of the wooden ships. The heavy ancient songs upon the terrifying lips. The greatest heavy craftsman that the world has ever known, ascending to the halls to claim his terrifying throne. Are waiting now, I take a deeply heavy bow. The terrifying magic is returning to me now. A deeply beautiful and terrifying final flight. I sail directly into the deeply golden light. The trickster and the builder finally finds his proper place. A deeply terrifying and a beautiful